Hi, so we're just getting started. We're introducing ourselves in the chat. My name is Sophia. I'm the Nutrition Education Coordinator here at Grow NYC. For this presentation, you can put questions in the chat. It's also a small group, so if you feel free to unmute yourselves and just ask me a question. And this presentation is being recorded and will be sent around afterwards. So I work for Grow NYC. We are an organization that works to protect the environment, to create green space, help people stay healthy, and give them opportunity to make a positive impact. And we do this in our four main spaces, being conservation, green space, education, and food access and agriculture. So we provide lots of ways for people across the city to make a positive impact on their environment and their health. In this workshop, we'll be talking about why nutrition education is important, and that leads us to what is Root Camp, the curriculum, and how do you teach it? Then what do you need to get started? And we'll leave plenty of time at the end for question and answer. But like I said, if you have any questions along the way, either pop them in the chat or just feel free to unmute yourself. So I'm going to get started today with why nutrition education is so important. And I might be, preaching to the choir here, but I think it's really important as a nutrition educator myself to sometimes take a step back and think about and really remind myself why the work we're doing is so vital. And just as a preface, most of this research comes from a report from the Tisch Center for Food Education and Policy at Teachers College at Columbia. The report is called A is for Apple, and it's the state of nutrition education programs in New York City schools. And this is from 2018. I have it linked at the end if you're interested in learning more. But yeah, so just to get into it, the research indicates that healthy eating can improve academic performance. And that's specifically school-based nutrition education. So that takes place in the classroom or at the school, gets children excited about eating school meals, which supports long-term health and learning and leads to better learning outcomes. And through engaging hands-on activities, so that could be cooking in the classroom, that could also be gardening in your school garden. School-based nutrition education provides students with the motivation, skills, and knowledge to make choices that are healthy for themselves, communities, and the planet. And this is just a photo of some students participating in Root Camp last year at a school in East Elmhurst in Queens. So public schools in New York offer students between 1 and 3 meals a day. So for some students, it's just lunch, but for many students, they're getting all of their meals at their school. And the research shows that engaging students in the cafeteria, in the classroom through nutrition education, and in their school garden can help to ensure that students are actually eating these meals, which is super important, especially when the school is the main source of meals for these students. And cooking in the classroom more generally increases confidence and knowledge of where food comes from, and this leads to trying new and healthy foods. And I've seen this so many times. It can even happen within one class period where, students come in maybe with some preconceived notions about vegetables or even just a specific fruit or vegetable, and they come out actually enjoying it and saying, that actually was pretty good. Like, yeah, I would eat that in the future. And really just having that hands-on experience is so vital and so fun to help make these changes. And as of 2018, 56% of New York City's public schools offered one or more nutrition education program, which is great, but that also means that 44% of schools didn't. In elementary schools, that number is smaller, so 29% of elementary schools didn't offer any nutrition education, but here at Grow NYC, that's why we're utilizing Root Camp and other tools to make sure that every school that's interested in having nutrition education is able to. And we're trying to make it as easy and accessible for you all to offer it to your students. So that brings me to Root Camp. And what is Root Camp? It is a curriculum. It was developed and written by Ample Table for Everyone, which is another nonprofit that we work with. They're working to fund solutions that feed a growing population of food insecure families in New York. And they developed this curriculum over many years and really finalized it and started pushing it out with us during the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, when they saw how the pandemic really exacerbated a lot of food insecurity that was already existing in New York City. So more specifically, it's a curriculum that includes 10 45-minute lessons. Each lesson has discussion questions, relevant vocab, a written activity, and then more importantly, it has a cooking activity in each lesson. So it's really utilizing cooking as a sensory activity. There's some of the recipes that involve a lot of different smelling things like herbs, and it prioritizes using hands as the student's first and most versatile tool. It also introduces all students to basic kitchen utensils and appliances. So your students will become equipped to use kid-safe knives and cutting boards and bowls and peelers and graters and really all of the basic kitchen utensils so that they can go home or travel elsewhere and say, you know, actually, I can pick up that peeler and grater. I know what it is. I feel comfortable using it. I feel safe using it because there's safety techniques in the curriculum as well. And just feel excited about cooking. That's what it comes down to. The goals of the curriculum are really coming back to what we were talking about earlier with why nutrition education is so important. Root Camp is a food awareness curriculum. So we're talking about nutrition, things like proteins and carbohydrates, but then we're also talking about food systems and how your food choices affect your health and the environment. For example, shopping locally and seasonally and why that's important, or reasons why you might want to do that. Root Camp is designed to foster healthy eating habits and culinary skills, and really getting everyone in your classroom up to the same level, no matter where they may have started. And it's a roadmap for making strong, informed, and healthy choices as children enter into the new phase of independence and self-awareness, as this curriculum is aimed at middle school age. But we'll talk about that a bit, how it's pretty flexible in terms of being able to be used in younger classrooms and older classrooms as well. So it's 10 lessons. We recommend a once a week pacing, but it is flexible if you wanted to combine some lessons and do them together, or if you just kind of wanted to spread them out over a longer period of time, we're flexible there. And it's geared towards middle school, but like I said, it's easily adaptable, and it's been successfully used over the past few years in, I know a first grade classroom, so I think first grade is as low as it's gone so far, but all the way up through middle school. And here's an overview of the lessons. We'll start out with orientation, and this is, you know, where am I going? We're learning about food generally, and getting into nourishment in lesson 2. So how food affects you physically and mentally, and like cues for knowing when you're hungry. And each lesson contains an in-class recipe and a take-home recipe, and you kind of see them laid out here. Lessons 3 through 7 are more about the biological and nutrition science sides of food. So we talk about things like balanced meals, like timing and portion size, sweet and salty foods, the role of water in the diet. And then at the later end of the curriculum, we go more into kind of the social side of food. So how does our environment affect our diet? That's a really interesting lesson because it talks about marketing, and especially food marketing towards children. So being able to bring up these points in your classroom, like what types of food are marketed towards you and why do you think that is? And, you know, when you're watching TV, like what types of food are the ads for? So we talk about things like that. 9 is about eating seasonally, and lesson 10 is about expressing yourself through your food and like how your history and culture and family brings so much to the table, literally and metaphorically. But these ideas about kind of the more social sides and social elements of food are brought into the earlier lessons as well, in some of the discussion questions and talking points. So the overriding principles for that the curriculum bring up are that all living creatures eat and drink daily, that there's a direct relationship between food, health, and mood, that feeding oneself, one's family, and one's community are essential life skills, making healthy and informed choices are a part of growing up, and there are techniques for eating healthy and affordably. And furthermore, there's specific goals of Root Camp, which are to begin or increase helping at home with food prep, by learning how to use these, the basic kitchen tools at school. You can go home and use them there as well. To actively participate in making decisions about their food intake, to seek out their elders who can share traditions and pass on family recipes, to understand and look forward to preparing and sharing food, to model their practical skills for siblings and peers, and to discuss how different cultures are expressed through food. So lots of very important goals. In only 10 lessons, now it seems like, wow, there should even be more. And the curriculum also offers extra resources for the teacher, educator. If you yourself are interested in learning more, we have nutrition science guidelines, different YouTube videos to watch, and organizations that you can look into if you are interested in learning more about nutrition. Something that I think is also very interesting about nutrition education, there's lots of research that shows that it also helps the educator in terms of their own nutrition and just having a more holistic view of food and food systems. It really brings it back to the whole idea of that we're in a community with each other, with our students, and with the food that we're eating every day. And the fact that even giving food and nutrition education can help you as an educator, I think is a really great reason to participate. So now we're going to talk about specifics of teaching the Root Camp curriculum. And each class is has the same format. So we have a do now, that's 5 minutes, where you'll review the homework and there's a brief activity. We have an inquiry, which is 10 to 15 minutes. Here we talk about vocab. We have questions to talk about as a class and information. The hands-on activity, and this is the cooking section of each lesson, and that's about 20 to 25 minutes. And then we have 5 minutes to review the handout or the homework. So I'm going to walk you through the first lesson, which is orientation to Root Camp. Where am I and where am I going? We have our do now, which in this first lesson, it's a little survey that then in the last lesson, your students will do the same one, and you can compare and contrast kind of how far they've come throughout the curriculum, because we're answering some true or false questions, such as I know how to read a food label, I know how to and often set the table, and then naming 5 fruits or 5 vegetables and seeing kind of challenging yourself, can you do that? And of course, talking, we ask students as well if they have food allergies, since we'll be cooking in the classroom. Some of the vocab words for the first lesson are biology, recipe, root, orientation, and some of the questions we talk about in the first lesson are, what does every living thing need to survive? And what do we use food for other than just survival? And it also includes some talking points, such as the quality and quantity of the food we eat affects our health and therefore our lives. And all of the lessons have questions as well as talking points to really get discussion going in your classroom. The hands-on activity for the first lesson is apple wraps. And all of the classroom recipes are a bit more simple than the take-home recipes. So here we use apple, banana, some spread or nut butter, or in lots of classrooms, probably not nut butter, but they always, if there's something that has a common allergen, we're always going to give substitutes. Whole wheat tortillas, and then optional ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg. And so we're making a really simple apple wrap, but we're using knives, we're using measuring spoons. This is the first lesson, and your students are already able to use these tools. And then, so the take-home lesson for, or the take-home recipe for the first lesson is orange oatmeal pancakes. And so there's a handout so you can send that home with your students. And this is the homework for the first lesson, which is known as You Do. And we talk about what nourishment is, what nutrition is for the following lesson. And so we have an evaluation form that is for each lesson. If you feel inclined to do it for each lesson, if not, we're going to ask you to do one at the end of the session or the end of the whole curriculum in order to get some of the reimbursement, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we would love your feedback. So we do have an evaluation form that you can fill out as much as you would like. If there's a lesson that went particularly well, or maybe didn't go so well, then that would be super helpful so that we can work on the curriculum for the following years. And I'm going to go over some feedback from teachers that taught Root Camp in the past. And we've had overwhelmingly positive feedback, just as a preface. One special education teacher in Brooklyn said that it was going well with her students. They actively participate in the cooking activities. Our participation in Root Camp has been a great way to keep students engaged and encourage peer-to-peer interaction while practicing daily living and cooking skills. And we've had a lot of success in D75 schools. So if that's something you're interested in, I know that I saw some D75 teachers in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me personally, and I can connect you with special education teachers that have done this in the past. It's been super adaptable. And of course, it's very hands-on, which is amazing. A 6th grade teacher in the Bronx said that her students had a great time. The vocabulary was helpful, and the students were excited to work in groups to put together the recipe. And this teacher also added a literacy component to the curriculum. So she was teaching the book, The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan, and used that as kind of a literacy component with this curriculum. So I thought that that was a really great example of how you can work it in to other subjects, or kind of use it as a like part of a larger lesson or section about food or food systems or whatever you might be teaching already. A 6th grade health and phys ed teacher from Brooklyn Green School said, I loved how seamless it was to embed into our current health program. Prep work was little to nothing because everything was provided. I love that students were provided with recipes they can take home and try it with their families. So we have some necessary equipment, and this is the fun part. This is where we get the giveaways. So for schools participating in Root Camp, we at Grow NYC will provide one set of basic kitchen tools per school. So that is 2 sets of these kid-safe cooking knives, 1 set of all of these tools here. So it includes spatulas and spoons and graters, peelers, tongs, and then 2 sets of cutting boards. So Grow NYC will send 1 set of all of this to your school. And then also we will provide a $100 stipend per class to purchase food for Root Camp. So for example, if you work at a school and 3 different classes are doing root camp, you would get one set of tools, like one set of cooking tools that you can share between your classes, but you would get $100 per class. So it would be $300 for the whole school. And this comes at the end after you submit an evaluation for the program. So just to reiterate, we will ship the cooking materials to your school, and that'll be obviously before you get started. So that's one set of classroom cooking materials per school. And then we send one $100 snack check at the end of the program once the teacher completes a final evaluation, which we will send you when you're completed, when you're ready for it. And it's one snack check per class. So if you're feeling all jazzed up, excited about cooking in your classroom and doing nutrition education, you can sign up after this orientation at this link, and I'll walk you through it in just a second. And here I'm just kind of saying, if you know all of the participating teachers at your school, you can fill out one per school if you personally know all the teachers' names. But if not, you can just do for yourself. You can do one per teacher, so it doesn't get confusing if different teachers at the school are signing up with different names. So if you don't know, just sign up for yourself. And you must fill out a survey at the end in order to get the snack check. So that's super important. So I'll walk you through this sign up form real quick. It's pretty simple. So we have your school name, your school number, teacher contact email and teacher contact phone number, how many classes in your school are teaching root camp, number of students being served root camp, grade level taught, which address should we send the cooking supplies to? So this is going to be the school address. And then where and to whom should we send snack checks? So this is what I mean. If you only know for sure that you are doing it, just put your own name. If you're the representative for the grade, then you can put everyone, if you know everyone. Also, if your school already has cooking supplies, you can hit yes if you would like to opt out of receiving the cooking supplies, so we can provide them to more schools. So yeah, even if you're here, in order to really get started and to get all those supplies, you still have to sign up at this link, which is, I'll put it in the chat, but it's supplysignup22.paperform.com. And after this orientation, you will receive an email with this recording. If you are want to go back and hear what I said again, the link to the supply sign up and a copy of the curriculum if you want to read it more in depth before signing up. So do we have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself, or comments, or
I just want to say thank you. It's a very good presentation, and I'm definitely interested in doing it. I was thinking I do 3 second grade classes, so I was thinking maybe I would do it with all 3 of them. I see them twice a week. I feel like the first grade would be too young, the more I think about it. So with the stipend, would I get just one stipend, or would I get the 3 if I evaluated how it's going with each class?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So you would get 3. If you're doing with 3 classes, you would get 3 stipends.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Matthew Brown, I see your hand.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for a great presentation. I have a few questions. Number one, the lesson materials, are they digital?
Yeah, so it's a PDF.
Okay.
So you can print it out if you're interested, but it is a PDF.
No, I'm a person who uses a screen reader. I'm visually impaired, so I wanted to make sure they were digital as opposed to paper. Otherwise, I'd have to scan them and go through all that kind of work. The other question I had is in terms of the cooking in the classroom, what kind of cooking appliances are necessary?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I should make that more clear. For all of the recipes that we do in the classrooms, the cooking supplies that we send out, like the simple cutting boards, knives, etc., should be enough to do all of the cooking in the classroom. They're simple recipes. The take-home recipes are more complex and might use like an oven or something. But the ones in the classroom, you should be covered, except there are some that you might need mixing bowls for, that are not provided, but that I think would be the only thing.
Right, but we're not doing actual like baking and microwaving and that kind of stuff.
No.
Okay, and the other question I guess I had was in terms of, you said that you had a District 75 before, some District 75 schools did it. What levels of the reading are in the lessons?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, we've had many D75 schools do it. Last year, I gave a presentation to the Special Education PLC. And so we got a lot of feedback from that. So I can connect you more specifically with I have two teachers in mind, to get a more clear answer to your question. The levels for the reading are, I mean, they can go down to like lower elementary, I would say.
Okay, that's actually perfect for my kids. I mean, I teach 7th grade, but my kids' reading levels are like 4th and 5th, probably.
Okay, great. But if you would like, I'd be more than happy to connect you with some D75 teachers.
That would actually be really good. And I would wonder too, do you guys know, are you guys considering doing an extension of this for the parents?
Yeah, that's also a great question. And that's something I'm looking into for this spring. We haven't in the past, just based on kind of funding restraints as well as personnel restraints. But I would love to do a connection with this with the parents. I see DK smiling because this is something we've been talking about, is perhaps going to like a PTA meeting or doing a larger cooking workshop with parents as well as students.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. If you guys do, I would love to be involved in that.
Great, thanks.
Awesome, thank you.
I see another hand from Pamela.
Hi, I just have a quick question. My school is gonna try this out, kind of like a trial run. Would we be able to apply for it next year with more classes involved?
Yeah, so I will say probably. The way funding works, we won't know for sure until the end of the school year, if we're renewing this for the fall, but chances are, I would say, chances are high, but I can't make any promises. But if you do it this spring, then you'll already have the cooking supplies and you'll already have the curriculum. So you would have a lot of the tools in order to be able to do it in the fall, whether or not we have funding for the snack checks, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah. Joy, I see your hand.
Yeah, so what is the cost? I'm just kind of confused. Like you're saying you get this check. So do we purchase the supplies first and then we get reimbursed? I'm confused about that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the cost for the curriculum and the lessons and everything is none. And we send you the tools, so like the cutting boards, etc. beforehand. You will have to pay for the ingredients up front, and then you'll get reimbursed for them after, up to $100 per class.
Thank you.
No problem. I see Larry's hand.
Hi, yes. I'm a parent who I kind of just stumbled on this. I know I forget when it was. Anyway, whatever, a few years back, there was something similar done during the summer, but it was a one-shot deal. It wasn't through Grow New York, and the students were high school students who loved it. I'd like to get this idea across in my school. Who would be the person who would decide whether this curriculum would come in? Would it be the principal? Would it be parent coordinator? Who would I go through? And what information would I give them to get them excited about it?
Yeah, so are you a parent at a high school?
Say that again?
Are you a parent of a high schooler?
No, I'm a parent of a 7th grader, but I worked in a program one summer, and we did have somebody come in to the high school students that I was working with, and they did something similar. It was the one day, one shot deal.
Okay.
And the kids loved it, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, great. Well, I think that there's kind of two ways to go about it. If you were able to get a teacher on board who's super excited about it, usually that's kind of the best way to get it to the schools the fastest, especially for something like this it's pretty flexible. It's not like we have some programs that kind of require more, and those definitely need to be put in front of the principal. But for something like this, I would say that having a really excited teacher is probably the best way, or the parent coordinator. This has also been done in a club, like an after school club. So that could be run by, a teacher or someone else at the school. So I would just say, look for like one staff member that's super into it. And if you want, I have my email here. You can email me. Oh, here's the resource. I'll put my email in the chat as well. If you're having trouble and if you're interested in having it in your school, you can reach out to me and I can see what I can do. Suzanne, I see your hand.
You kind of answered my question, but so it's okay to do it in like a nutrition club? Because we have a nutrition club and a green club in our school, and we've been trying to partner together because we have a school garden. And so we've been trying to partner together to come up with, different ideas that we could do. And this kind of seems like something that we could maybe do together. But I wasn't sure if there was like a minimum, because I teach STEM for grades 2 to 6. But there's so many different things that I'm trying to do in that class that, I'm trying to get this in somewhere else. So I just wanted to see if that was okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's been successful in after school clubs as well.
Great, thanks.
I just see a question from the chat. Are homeschool students eligible to participate? Homeschool students are eligible to participate in the program. Like, we can send you the curriculum. We funding wise can only send the monetary resources and like the cooking supplies to DOE public schools, but you're able to use the curriculum. And Joy, do you have another question?
Yes, I was just saying hi to Suzanne because I know Suzanne. Yeah, so I love the idea of the after school, but then also when you're saying like it could be more than like one class, you would do it like you come 1 week for one class and then the next week for another class. You wouldn't be for like 3 classes in one day.
Yeah, so it's 10 lessons, like 10 separate lessons. So you could do that over the course of 10 weeks, or you could do it twice a week and have it be shorter.
Okay.
Yeah. You also are able to, if you would like to do a more condensed version, it's possible that, but you won't receive the full $100 stipend if you don't do the full curriculum.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Sounds like everyone is interested in bringing nutrition ed to their classrooms. Do you have another question, Joy?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. I forgot to unraise my hand. Sorry.
No worries. Well, I'll stay on for at least 5 more minutes if people have more questions, if anything comes to you, but I put my email in the chat. So again, if a question comes up after we get off the call, feel free to email me. And yeah, Suzanne, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just was, I was curious. So are you going to send out an email to all of us that has the PDF with all the lessons in it? So it's not something like we need to sign into Grow NYC to get?
No, yeah. So you'll receive after this orientation, the PDF of the curriculum and the link to sign up to like officially do it. And once you sign up, then we send you the materials and you get started.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a
Amy,
great
Jed,
evening.
I just wanted to ask you, you're not gonna put, the link to fill it out in the chat, right? You said we're gonna wait to get that?
I can put the link to fill it out in the chat right now, actually.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
Actually, can you read it out? I'm having chat issues here. Can you actually, you said it before, but I missed part of it.
Yes, so the link is supply sign up. So it's supplysignup22.paperform.com. So supply sign up 22.paperform.com. But thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
I think it's .co, not .com, because when I typed .com, it went to some weird site. There's no
Oh.
M at the end.
Okay, .co. Oops. Yep, .co. I always thought that .com and .co were the same thing, but I guess that's not true. Yep, so
Quick
supply
question, you said
sign
it
up.
would be recorded and that we would be, you said it would be recorded and we would be able to see this recording again?
Yes, I will be sending the recording tomorrow.
To the email that we signed up with?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a great evening.